Hello, everyone. I am Jessica Koch, your host of Profound Professionals, and it has been my honor for the last 5+ years to be able to bring you brilliant experts from all over the globe who can help you improve your life or grow your business. And today I have a beautiful and brilliant guest, Wendy Lee. And through her coaching and her masterminds and retreats, and who doesn't need a retreat, workshops and on stages all around the world, Wendy supports women on their journey of self-discovery who are just really ready to ditch all the people pleasing and all that hustling we're doing out there. And if you're ready to learn how to have more fun and have more freedom in your life, well, then Wendy Lee is for you and for me. Right now we're rhyming like Dr. Seuss. Welcome, Wendy. Wendy, how are you today?
I'm great, Jessica. Thank you for that wonderful introduction, and thank you for having me on the show today.
I love doing this. This is one of my favorite passion projects. Profound Professionals has allowed me to meet some brilliant out-of-the-box thinkers, but most importantly to me, as in addition to being industry experts and helping people in what they do and love and in their passion, they're also really embracing the world outside around them in their community. So we're going to get to talk about all kinds of things that cover all those things about you today, Wendy. So share with us, how did you decide to help people ditch the hustle and ditch all this people pleasing and have some more freaking fun? How did you decide this is going to be the thing I do?
So as most stories go, right, you can tell a lot about what somebody does with what they're doing, that there's probably something in their back story that leads into it. And that's exactly what happened to me. So I was on my merry path in the corporate world. I had climbed every single rung of the ladder, the proverbial ladder, and found my way at the top as Senior Vice President of Human Resources. That was bravo, right? And I really did like what I was doing. I am a natural people pleaser. I like to help people. I like to make sure that they're supported, make sure that they have opportunities. And so I had a great gig going on. I was not dissatisfied with that. And simultaneously, as I'm buzzing along doing all this corporate stuff, I was going through a divorce. And it wasn't that the divorce itself was, really awful and terrible, but it was a string of relationships that weren't the best. And in my mind, I was like, I don't understand this. How is it that on one hand, I can be so quote unquote successful in the corporate world, but in my personal life, I just can't quite get that part. And it felt like a real disconnect. And I thought at the time, I did think it was complete opposites. And so I literally raised my hands in the air and I was like, I want to do something different. I don't want to keep making this same, I called it then, a mistake over and over again, because I was not a spring chicken. I was already in my later 40s. And so I was just wide open and I was seeking. And when you're open, it's kind of like, be careful what you ask for.
That's right.
And through my searching, I devoured anything to do with self-development, because I think there was a part of me that thought I was broken and needed to be fixed, right? Must be. I can't get this other stuff together, so let's see what I can do. I must have read, I don't know how many books, at least 50 books in a year for true. And then I started following some different life coaches, even though I did not know that's what they were. I knew that they were inspirational. And so I would follow them. And it just so happened that I wound up going to a retreat at one of these people's programs. Now, I didn't know what that meant. I just was following my heart and trying to soothe this feeling, right? Because sometimes we can stay busy and do all these things instead of feeling the feelings. That's what I was doing. I was like drowning in my self-discovery.
Yeah, well,
But
that's how I got through my divorce too. When I had a divorce, I just dug in and focused on improving myself. I took a course, I learned something, I just kept feeding in, and I think that's how I really was able to process and get through without falling to pieces, you know?
yeah, and it's so interesting because I think we all have this innate curiosity of this self-development.
Hmm.
And so I ended up going on this retreat. Now, it didn't hurt that it was in Maui, but it wasn't the kind of retreat where, we're sipping Mai Tais on the beach. In fact, we had to surrender our phone. That was very, like, we were
Yeah.
there for almost a week. And with me being the corporate gal, I had to surrender our phone. There wasn't a television in our rooms. And we kind of went through the day where we would do a training, and then there was journaling, and there was just a lot of really time for that deep work. And I was surrounded by 30 other like-hearted women that were on the same journey. And
Hmm.
in that time span, one day we walked in and the coach was talking about feminine and masculine energy. I
Hmm.
had never heard those concepts, but I believe if I could have, my jaw would have dropped because it was like this light bulb went off.
Hmm.
I had been so in my masculine, which everybody, whether you're a man or a woman, has feminine and masculine energy. But the masculine is like the proving, the doing, the achieving, the figuring out. I
Hmm.
was like 99.9999% in my masculine energy. And guess what? It was also in my divorce. Like, I felt like I had to be the one that did everything and take control of everything. But really, what I learned is that was just a survival pattern that was showing up that hadn't been resolved from growing up.
Hmm.
And so I started thinking, what would it look like if I added more feminine energy or tapped into that, which is the receiving, it's the connection, it is the empathy, it is the intuition.
Hmm.
And so I just started down this road. And when I got back, first of all, I was used to wearing like two-piece pantsuits. Maybe they were brown, black, or blue. I might have had like a little color, something underneath it, but very down to business. I was professional. And I showed up similar, like my dress today has orange slices on it, because why not? But I showed up in a dress just because I like to be pretty. But I thought I had to match the energy of where I was.
Right.
That's that core of that people pleasing. And
Hmm.
I showed up, and it wasn't just because I had a dress on. I was allowing myself to change, and people noticed. And
Hmm.
I had lots of people say, I don't know what happened to you on this trip, but there is something different. And I even had one brave soul say, you know what, Wendy, you are such a good boss. You do so much for us. You care so much about us. But sometimes there was kind of this standoffish, like you were so professional. And that's not how I felt in the inside.
Hmm.
The inside, I really wanted to connect, but I was so in my busy. I was so in the hustle culture. I was so in the proving myself and being the good girl and getting it done right and being the perfectionist that I had inadvertently lost the fun, easygoing, playful side of me. And I didn't even realize that that's how I was showing up on the outside. And so I started down this journey.
So when people come to you, they're typically feeling like, life is, they're not having a lot of freedom, and they're not having a lot of fun right now, and they're not sure how to bring that back into their life. Is that the kind of customer that's coming to find you?
More than likely, they're going through some sort of transition,
Hmm.
right? And maybe they haven't quite pinpointed it that way, because I didn't at that time. I just knew that I felt like I didn't want to keep making the same. Again, the word I used back then was mistakes. I know it wasn't a mistake. It was just where I was on my journey. But that same behavior pattern over and over. So more than likely, it's a woman that's in business, whether they are in the corporate world or an entrepreneur, that is really feeling the effects of being in the constant 24/7 hustle culture, where they're just, from the time they get up to the time they go to bed, everything is giving to everything and everybody else. And so they're feeling tired, depleted. They might be even having some health issues, but they're not tying it all together. They just want a break. If I could just have a break. But then in their mind, they're like, I'm the only one that can do all of this stuff. They just feel like the burden is on them. And so when I really lean in and tell about my stories and even the origin, because the origin of who we are is just a reaction, because as kids, we don't know how to react to that. And my origin is I grew up in a very chaotic family. I mean, name it, it was there. Divorces, parents with drug and alcohol problems. I was sexually abused. Our family unit changed 6 times. My mother passed away at a young age. And, you know, I actually had 4 parents at some form or another, but they hadn't figured out their self-development either.
Mm-hmm.
So even though they were doing the best that they could, there was a lot of damage that occurred. And what I did is I figured out real quick, if I was the straight A student, or if I was the best worker, because I started working when I was 13, people would lean in and they would be like, wow, you're awesome. And so guess what? I just did more of that and did more of that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's an upside to it. I mean, it helped me to be on my own the day after I graduated from high school. It helped me to put myself through college and pay for it all while working through 3 jobs. It helped me to go up the corporate ladder. And it did help me have this sense of empathy to want to help other people. What I had to figure out later in life is that, hey, some of that can be for me too.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I learned to fill up myself first and learn to go back and work on some of those origin stories,
Mm-hmm.
everything changed.
So what's it like when a customer does come to you and they say, okay, here I am, I'm feeling these things, this sounds like my person. Now, how do I work with Wendy? Is it in person? Is it via Zoom? Is it in group? Is it one-on-one? Is it an online course that you click and buy? Is it all those things and more? Tell us, how does it work for them to come in and step in and begin working with you?
Yeah, it's most of those. So most of the people are going to see me either because they saw me doing some sort of speaking. I mean, I am an international speaker, so I do speaking all over the place. Or they've come to one of my workshops, either they're virtual or online. And then they've got to get a sense of me, or maybe they found some things on social media. So from there, they're usually invited to a one-on-one discovery session.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually a chance for you to see where you believe you are now, where you wish you could be, and what is in that gap.
Mm-hmm.
And more than likely in that gap are pieces of the origin story that just have not been looked at. And so when we're in the survival mode, it feels like we only have one choice. But when we start healing that and bringing that to light, now we get what's called transformation. I'm a transformational life coach, where now it's like, oh, I really don't have to do this or keep doing the same pattern. For real? Is that for real? And so in that, then people can work either, I have a group, because I love the group dynamic. You get to see yourself and other people and the support that's guided by myself. And then we do some teaching things. There is also some one-on-one. And then I also do retreats once or twice a year. So there's a kind of a combination of how people can work with me.
So some of those groups and those other things are virtual, and then those retreats are in person. So you kind of
Right.
have some of that?
Yeah, the retreats are in person. Most of my stuff is virtual. If people are in my area, then part of the one-on-one, they get a half of a VIP day. Some people do that with me in person, or they can fly out and do it in person, but most of it is done virtually. But retreats definitely are in person. Yeah.
That's awesome. It's awesome. So what's something you could share with someone that they could do today that would help make their life better?
Wow, that is such a great question. I think the first thing is just to really accept that you are not broken and you don't need to be fixed. And you may be feeling sometimes that way, or feeling down about yourself, or feeling like you're not good enough. And most of that is because you're just disconnected by who your true self is. And we get disconnected because we buy into, I have to work hard or do something in order to be lovable. Well, you're already lovable, right? That's the way we come. We come out of the box that way. But then the mindset kind of. So I would say, as far as if you're a woman and you're in corporate or entrepreneur space, and you just feel like your life is so overwhelming, let's start with something super easy. What if just for a week, 1 week, you look at your calendar, right? Which it probably looks like a bingo card that has like no spaces left. You've used that little junk all over it, right? What if for next week, you just carve out 30 minutes of each day, and you get to decide what you want to do with that time? You can take a walk. You can listen to music. You can meditate. You can veg out on the couch, but it's only your time. Because what happens is we get so used with our people pleasing that it's so easy to give to everybody else that we forget to give to ourselves. Schedule in something fun. Schedule in something that you like. And by the way, that's a great way to do your calendar all the time. If you're a planner and you want to schedule a month ahead, put yourself in first. And then I always say, schedule it like that is a trip you're going on. Like, you cannot miss that air flight. You're not going to move your travel plans, right? It is in solid gold because you're worth it. And when you start doing that more for yourself, it's this weird thing that happens. People will start reacting to you in a different way because we think we're helping out by giving to depletion. Have you ever been in that energy exchange when somebody is completely depleted? It's not, you might get canceled a lot, or I'm so busy, or your thing gets short, or the energy is just real frazzled. We only live on this earth a short period of time, and time is one thing we cannot get back. Our time and our well-being. And those are the two things that I think were very much worth it. So that would be my one thing you can try right now today.
Give yourself a little time. I love that. I cooked myself breakfast. I sat out on my front deck and ate it in the sunshine. I took time for my meditation and my prayer. I'm taking more time for myself after this. I'm going to the gym with my daughter because she wants a buddy, but that's for me too, because I love being with her. So I am there. I am making sure lots of me time gets in the schedule.
I love that, because you know what's so interesting, Jessica, is that all this busy, it's just our nervous system that keeps amped up. Mm-hmm. And it's probably a feeling that we have learned from our past, but it's not very helpful, even though it's familiar. Right. And so when we can soothe our nervous system by having fun or doing things that slow us down, then you're already getting re-energized. You're already amping up your well-being. And it doesn't take a lot. And by the way, you can still go kick butt and make a huge difference in the work that you do in the world. It doesn't have to be an either or.
Yeah. For sure. Well, I'm the queen of saying that all the time because I believe in teaching people how to outsource, whether it's from taking my online course to do that or hiring our agency to have a virtual assistant. Outsourcing is the way to have your time and your life and make a big impact on the world at the same time with your business. So you can definitely have both, but you cannot do it all alone.
When you just said that, I was absolutely going to say, and sometimes this busy creates that separation. Remember when I said that I was coming across like this and I didn't realize it? And really deep down inside, what we really want is connection. But then we get in this, I can do it all by myself kind of scenario. Don't do it alone. Whatever it is, whether it's like in my instance, I went and I've had a life coach for the last 10 years. Because it helps me see things that I can't see. So get some sort of help with your self-development. Get some sort of support with your daily what you do. If you're in the corporate world and you need more help, raise your hand and ask for it. If you have your own business, guess what? You're the boss. You can raise your hand and say, I need to add someone. And once you do that, it will work itself out. I promise it will work itself out.
I totally agree. What else about yourself and your business could you share with us before we kind of move through some of our other pieces of our interview?
Yeah, so I am such a proponent of just like getting it started, right? Because I am totally rooting for everybody. Like when I can offer transformation, and because it was such a game changer in my life, it's kind of like this little secret that I want everybody to be able to experience before they leave this experience that they're in right now in this world, is I would like to offer everybody, if you're interested and you just want to see what is that all about, like what is it like to be coached or be on a coaching call. So I'd love to offer everyone here a discounted one-on-one session. It's an hour long. And it's a discovery call, right? Discover like where you are now. What if you just had a magic wand, no buts, I can't, that's impossible. Where would you like to be? And then we'll look at a little bit of what is standing in the way. And then we might talk about, is there a way that I can support you, or is there other ways that you can support yourself? So it's a discounted, it's $111, and it's totally worth leaning into if that's something that's been coming through. Because I know it lands in the heart first, and then we're just like, I'm busy. I'll put myself first. Who knows when, right? Now's the time. Now's the time, because we're not going to get this time back.
Well, and speaking of thinking of others and thinking of ourselves, the next part is one of the reasons Profound Professionals was started about 5 years ago. We wanted to feature amazing industry experts on all different topics that can help improve your personal life or even grow your business. But we also wanted to feature people who really think beyond themselves. And so we take a moment of pause to share information and awareness about causes that our guests care about. Mm-hmm. And Wendy, share with us the cause that you care about.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that really drew me to your program, because it's so important, right? Mm-hmm. Part of us taking time for ourselves is so that we can give back in healthy ways. Mm-hmm. And being a sexual abuse survivor, that has always been something that has been important to me, because I know the impact of when you don't get help for that, mm-hmm. how it can just keep playing that story of, I'm not good enough, it's my fault, what's wrong with me? And I see that whether it's because of something like that, or you don't feel safe, or you don't have your basic needs met. And mm-hmm. so I've been involved with a few different organizations that help women, children, and families with domestic and violent abuse. Mm-hmm. And one that's near and dear to my heart is the Bay Area Turning Point. Mm-hmm. In the past, I've even been a chair in their program, but I still support them today with what they do, because mm-hmm. it's so important. You know, when when we're ready to make those changes or get out of situations, if you don't have the resources, or you don't know where to go, or you don't know what to do, then you end up staying in those situations.
That's true.
And so programs like this is so important. The numbers are staggering of how many people have been affected or know somebody that has been affected by sexual, domestic, or violent abuse.
Yeah.
So the programs are so needed, and they are angels for the work that they do.
Absolutely. And it's great for people to have support in any challenging situation, but especially ones like these. So that's a great cause. And thank you for sharing that.
Yes.
The other thing people know about me is I am the ultimate bookworm, and I'm building the ultimate book list. And so I ask all my guests to start with a book that wasn't written by you, but inspired your life or helped you grow your business. So I'm building a massive book list for entrepreneurs and for people who just are as crazy about books as I am. So share with us a book that inspired you in some way.
Yeah, I love that. You remember when I said I read all those books?
Yeah.
I had bought a lot of self-discovery books, and they stayed on the shelf. And then when I went through that thing, I literally started at the left, and I went down my entire bookshelf and read or reread. And one that stands out, and I still use it in a lot of my coaching as well, is The 4 Agreements by the author Ruiz. And are you familiar with The 4 Agreements?
Yeah, I think I have heard about it, but tell us a little bit about it.
It is an easy book to read. And the concepts, even though they seem so simple, it's like, of course. So there's four agreements, right? It's be impeccable with your word, which means do what you're going to say for yourself and to others, right? It also is don't take anything personally. Now that's easier said than done, right? Don't take anything personally, but it's true.
Yeah.
Everything, any interaction we have with someone has nothing to do with us. It has to do with anything that they are bringing along from their journey, from the moment that they started this earth until they're in front of you. So learning to say, oh, that's interesting. And it goes hand in hand with the 3rd agreement, which is, so impeccable with your word. Oh, don't make assumptions. And the way you don't make assumptions is you get curious. Instead of having judgment, you get curious about things, and you have compassion, and you ask questions. But our default is we go straight to whatever that might be. And the last is do your best. And do your best might mean that you're able to get off the couch that day and maybe brush your teeth. It really is.
Yeah.
And other days it might be that, you know, you've got a project and you're just killing it and you're going through it and it's working and everything's like this. Be your best might be that you have a compliment for somebody and you shine on their world and their whole day changes. It means whatever it means to you. But it's not this thing that you have to achieve. It's this thing that you are every day. So that is like my number one go-to, the 4 agreements.
I love that. None of my guests have mentioned that one yet. So I'm so glad you did, because now it's going on our book list. Now, there are several books that you have been involved in and have cooking and going on. So tell us about those.
So I actually have been in 2 collaborations. One is The Voices of Women. And I know that some of your people will know what book that is. But every year on International Day of Women, there's a great, it's an all-day summit, and they have women from around the world, and they have young women that come in and they tell a story, or they tell about themselves, or they tell about an experience. And they actually made a book about that. They took the excerpts from that and made a book. So my chapter is in that book, and it's about how to shine your magic in a practical world.
Mm-hmm.
And then I also was part of an anthology called Be the Beacon, which is part of the Dr. Davia Shepherd anthologies. And she's had about 7 or 10 of them. And it's all and most of them are women authors that tell their story. And in the Be the Beacon, it was basically, how can you shine your light in the world?
Mm-hmm.
And so my chapter in there was life lessons from a firefly.
Oh, nice. I like that.
And right now I'm working on my own book called The Leadership Revolution, because Leadership Revolution is the name of my business. And so everything that I have accumulated over the last 5 years of being an entrepreneur and taking that step and doing that transformation is going to be laid out in the book of how to help you support you on your journey to really like if we could really create the life and the living that we love first, and then have that huge impact in the world, like in new revolutionary ways. And it doesn't mean that we have to do these huge changes, but it does mean that we have to start with ourselves to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm super excited about that. It's probably going to be in the fall-ish to the end of the year that it'll be coming out.
And so give us your website again. What's your website?
So my website is leadhershiprevolution.com. And then you can find me on Instagram, Lead Her Ship Revolution, or Facebook and LinkedIn. I'm under Wendy Lee.
And we'll make sure all of those links are underneath the video that you find, wherever you find it. And there'll also be an article linked to this interview. So you'll be able to find Wendy in so many ways. And if you watching, first of all, we want to thank you for watching. And we send you beautiful hearts. Really, let's see if we can make a beautiful heart somewhere. Anyway, there are lots of hearts, if you can imagine them in your mind, for sharing this with other people, because you just never know who needs to hear this today. And if you're listening and you happen to be an industry expert that can help improve someone's personal life, communication, their family, their friends, their time on this planet, or if you can help them grow their business and make more sales or reduce their expenses or do something great in the social media world, you're an expert in any of those platforms, we would love to have you on the show and feature you as an industry expert. And then we can tell the world about the causes you love and care about and feature you as a profound professional. Now, you'd be my hero and someone else's if you introduce us to someone you know that fits that description perfectly also. So if you'd like to be on the show, please make sure you reach out to us. Now, before we say goodbye, I always ask our guests in closing, please, Wendy, share us one last piece of information and inspiration.
Yeah, and thank you again, Jessica, for this platform. What you're doing is so important and so needed, right? And I think that just your process of how you do things is the last piece I'm going to leave with, is that we can all make a huge impact in the world, right? Mm-hmm. And somebody is waiting to hear your story, or to hear about you, or to be inspired by you, or to have a better understanding about themselves, about you. We don't have to do this alone. And I know sometimes we feel really disconnected from one another, but just lean in, reach out, let's come together more and more. And platforms like this really exemplify why that's so important. So thank you, Jessica, so much for having me today. It's been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun, and we've got to cover a lot of stuff. So thank you again, Wendy, for being on the show. Thank you again for watching. And as always, I am your host, Jessica Koch, and this has been a Profound Professionals episode. And I say it every time, and I'm going to say it again today. Be kind to yourself and be kind to each other. Bye, everybody. And we are done streaming live. We're good.
Beautiful.
All right. So I will, so the live on LinkedIn has to like it's not curate, it's something else. It's
In the cachet thing?
yeah, whatever it's got to do. It's
Okay.
got to do its thing. And once it does, then it gives me access to edit the very beginning and clip off where we're like waiting and just with our teeth because we don't know we're live yet. So
Yes.
I trim that little piece.
Okay.
And I also put this, are we already connected on LinkedIn?
I think we are. Let's see.
Let me give you my LinkedIn profile link. So make sure you're connected to me because I want to tag you in the post. And then in the next week or so, it'll begin to go up on my website and up on YouTube and up on Vimeo, and an article gets written by my team, and all these things begin to happen. So anything you didn't send us in the original form where we collected your data that you want included in the article,
I'll send the links and everything. Okay.
email me, but put in the subject line, interview follow-up.
Okay. We're not. I'm going to follow you.
I sent you a link, and then you can send me an invitation to connect, and I'll just accept it that way. Once this is done processing, then I can make those edits to the live interview and tag you on the post, and you can share the post right away. But we'll eventually, it takes us about a week. We haven't gotten the system tightened up as fast turnaround as I would like it to yet, but we're doing hundreds of these. So we'll email you in about a week a link to the article and a folder that has the full MP4 with the intro and an outro.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, but that takes about a week for us to get done right now, but we're getting it quicker. We had hundreds from the past that were backed up to do because we were on YouTube for 5 years, and YouTube took us down because it's all run by artificial intelligence, and it said for cyberbullying. And as you can see, I don't have a cyberbully bone in my body. So
what the heck?
it's an artificial intelligence scanning the videos, and the video they flagged, I tried to appeal and get a human to review it because it was me teaching a client how to use a free tool inside the library for businesses that help businesses do research. I was just showing them how to use that, and they flagged that as cyberbullying. I don't know what was said in the video or what caught them, but it's all done by a computer. So what
is so crazy, and you can't talk to a human.
Nope, you can't. So what we fortunately we had probably 95 or 97% of the videos we had in other places. So we've been recreating our YouTube channel, but by the fall it'll be back up to 10,000 easily. We only have a handful of people on it now, but we were over 10,000 before, so it will have faster momentum this time. So it's just one of those things. You don't own any of these platforms, and you just can't stress yourself out about it. What you can do is make sure you back up all your videos and put them somewhere. That's what you can do. Back up all your platforms because you do not own them. That's what you must remember. Back up everything, your LinkedIn, your Facebook, your email. Back up all your data and put it in a cloud, an external hard drive, in multiple places, because you don't own any of these things.
Tell me again how you prefer for me to connect with you on LinkedIn. I followed you, but
yeah, go to more and hit connect and send me an invitation to actually.
Okay, gotcha.
There's probably a more button. If it just says follow, click the.
I'm trying to do it without my glasses.
Yeah, well, that's not going to help.
My eyeballs have really gone downtown.
Yeah, I just turned 50 in January, and I need readers for everything. I can't read anything.
Welcome to your 50s. When your birthday's in January, I just turned 57 2 weeks ago. Oh, look, you're already popping up here on your thing.
Yeah, it goes live right away there, but it just takes us a while to get the other places. But I feel like it just makes the party last longer.
I really like you. You have such a great energy about you.
Thanks. I really like my life. And I think part of that is,
yes.
So for the last 24 years, I have been in the healthiest, most closest to perfect love relationship with my husband that I think is possible. And that just makes everything else in life so easy for me.
Yeah.
So, I really like me too. I like myself. I like myself, and I love my husband, and I love my family and my children and my hobbies, and I have a great relationship with God. I don't have any health issues. I got a lot going for me. I got a great business. I love what I do for a living. I love where I live by the water. Like, I mean, I'd like to live. I have a place I'd like to go. I have goals, but I mean, still where I live is, beautiful. People would come here to vacation. So, I really can't come up with any complaints.
There's something about, though, when we get to that point where we love ourselves, and I totally get that, that then it's just like, how can you not? But when you're not in that space and you don't know that, then the world feels so much different. I think that's really why I'm so passionate about what I do, because it took me so decades to get to that point. Because I didn't feel that way about myself. On the outside, it looked like I did. And I see that, especially, I mean, just because I work with women, that it seems like you've got all this great stuff, but if you don't really have compassion and grace for yourself first, it's going to be a hard road. And we've already went through so much stuff, right? It's like, so I love that for you.
Yeah, and I also I don't sweat the small stuff, and nothing stuff doesn't have to be perfect. Like I think I've become very easygoing, and things work themselves out. I don't.
That's part of being close to the 50s too. Some of that stuff just goes away. It's like, why did I worry about all that stuff? It really is not a big deal.
No, it's not. All this stuff just works itself out. It's funny, probably in my 20s, I'd be freaking out about this one thing. But today I was just like, it is what it is. Let me just call and see how I can help my son. My son's active duty Army, and he's deployed out of the country right now. And he's also just got stationed to Washington State, and he's not married. So there's no one stateside that has access to his orders paper right now. Well, I got a mail in the mail, a summons from the circuit court for jury duty for him. Oh. Well, he can't go to jury duty, and I don't want him to get in trouble for not going to jury duty. And I called him and I said, look, I'm his mom. I'm not his wife. I don't have his orders. He doesn't have a wife. He's not even in the country. She's like, well, we need a copy of his orders or a copy of a piece of mail to show that he lives in Washington State. I was like, well, I can check with his girlfriend and see what she has access to, but she may not even have access to that. It's just a girlfriend. They're not married, So what are you going to do? He's serving his country. And I just handled it really calm. And I think I can see myself, in my 20s freaking out about something like that, because it's the court and, oh my God, what are you going to do? And now I'm like, whatever, something will fix it.
It always ends up working out, right?
It does. It really does. So,
well, speaking of which, is there anything I can do to help support you?
Just, email, introduce me to anyone who's overwhelmed and needs a virtual assistant. And then we'll send you money. I mean, it's a great relationship. You send us people.
Do you need people for your show too? Or just the VA?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Any industry experts, we'd love to feature them.
Okay, I've got tons of people for that too.
I am also really I would really love to do some like singers and comedians and really high level social media people, like the, wizards of Instagram, Twitter, Pinterest, YouTube, like,
What do you mean by singers?
People who sing for a living, who are writing music, who are putting that out there.
I sing professionally every weekend.
Oh, really cool. Yeah,
I sing in a 12-piece horn band.
Yeah, I just thought it'd be cool if there's, especially songwriters, because if there's a song Yeah, a song you've written yourself. I would love for us
I've got some people that I can introduce you to for sure.
that I would love to get them on here, tell a little bit about their story, sing a piece of their song, you know. And I really want comedians too, because I really love for them to, especially starting out comedians, for them to have a chance. Now it's got to be family friendly humor,
Right.
clean family friendly humor. But laughter is such a blessing and a cure of sadness for so many people, that I thought, wouldn't it be fun to bring them on the show and let them, you know, do their stick, you know, do their little song and dance like they would do if they went to a comedy club.
I do about once a weekish. There's this it's a company that hires speakers, and then corporations can buy packages for their employees, and then during lunchtime they can go, and it's everything like mindset. Like one guy's a DJ. When I go on there, I speak about mindset or different things. But there's 2 comedians in there. So I'll be glad to pass it on, because that's what they do. They get on and they do a little thing funny so people can have a little break in their day.
And I'm going to call it Profound Professionals Open Mic. So we're going to just do a spin-off of the podcast and feature people who are artists like that, either comedians or musicians, and we'll call it Profound Professionals Open Mic. And so it'll have a little bit of a different branding, and we'll do a little bit of a different intro, outro, probably video. But we'll still feature them this way and just talk about how you can book them, or how you can find them, or how you can hire them, and then just help them get their business out there. Because a lot of them are also doing stuff for good too.
Right.
You know, there's also a ton of Christian comedians. Like I said, I really want some family friendly ones. That I need to start trying to get into those circles of those worlds, just because I think it would just be so fun.
Well, I know these comedians have to be, because they're on a corporate platform.
Right. Everything has to just be family friendly and clean. It doesn't have to be Christian, but yeah. But other than that, you know, and the artists I want to come on and sing a piece of that has to be their own original stuff, because I don't have to deal with any of the copyright deals.
Yeah.
So, but I'd like to talk about too the process of writing a song and how to get a song published, and, you know, just have some of those conversations about music and entertainment and the struggles they've had and the successes they've had. And, you know, I just think it'd be a fun show.
I have tons of people I can send you that way. So
yeah, you can use the same email I sent you.
Okay.
They'll book themselves the same way. We're just gonna on my website, we have right now Profound Professionals. We also have Profound Producers, because I was featuring globally some of the top real estate agents in the world. I was getting paid by the corporations to interview these people. And so I have so many people in mortgages and real estate that we did Profound Producers, so like real estate producers. And then we're going to have another tab that'll be this Profound Professionals Open Mic, when we start interviewing comedians and singers. So
awesome. You're a little creator, aren't you?
I am, but that's why I have to keep hiring people to help fully execute, manage, and run all these things I keep building. I'm like, okay, I built this. Now somebody else do that part, so I can go do and make something else over here. So that's kind of where I'm constantly paddling. So
do you ever have summits yourself through the Playhouse stuff?
I don't feel drawn to run my own summit. I'm on a lot of summits, and I'm just doing so much. I do have one in mind though that's going to come out eventually. Kimberly and I will be doing I had this idea before the other girls doing hers, so I'm kind of kicking myself for not doing it first, but a speakers competition. We want to do an annual speakers competition, and I know there's a girl doing it on there now, but like 2 years ago, Kimberly and I started talking about our red carpet competition. I just have so many things going on. We couldn't get it launched. And we're still working out the details. So I'll be interested to see how this girl does it. And then I'll need to have a conversation with her, because I want to let her know that eventually I'll be doing mine, but it isn't a copy of her. It's I'll have a, professional kind competition because, just because I am not worried about what everyone thinks and says about me doesn't mean someone else's feelings wouldn't get hurt. And I don't want her feelings to get hurt or.
Yeah, that's very considerate.
Yeah, I find if you just have open, blunt conversations with people, you can avoid a lot of, unnecessary spent energy in a negative capacity for a whole lot of people.
So. It's never what's, well, there's more in the what's not said that causes remember the making assumptions and taking things personally?
Yeah. So I would reach out to her directly and say, hey, I'm thinking about doing this. This is something Kimberly and I talked about a couple of years ago. I just wanted to give you a heads up out of respect because I saw that you just did one. Because if we do one, I'm not going to do it until next year anyway. But I am going to let her know. So just because I feel like we're in the same community in the same circle, it's the right thing to do. But there are tons of, I don't know, I'm not even really that worried about it because there are tons of people in that community who do spiritual conferences and family-based conferences and business-based conferences. And they run summits through and with Kimberly, and there are a lot of the same kind of topics. And everybody does them anyway. So
that's why there's, 5 Starbucks on the competing corners.
I know.
There's plenty to go around for everybody. Even though it might be a similar topic, it's going to be you versus it's going to be her.
Yeah. So one day I'd like
your brand.
One day I'd like to do that. But right now, truthfully, I have so many I'm building out this other big passion project. I'm starting to do some of my legacy work where I'm working with these families in other countries, and I'm training an HR person, and we're building automated systems to help train them and give them employment and work and revenue constantly. And so that's more important to me than this competition thing. So so it all works out in the wash.
Are you familiar with the book Big Magic?
No, I don't know Big Magic.
By the lady that wrote Eat, Love, Pray, Liz Gilbert.
No, and I've never seen that movie. My daughters watch it 100 times.
So it started with her book, but basically Big Magic is that ideas float around in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Like this idea you had for the carpet, the red carpet thing. And if even though it's your idea, if you don't pick it up, then it goes somewhere else. But if it was meant for you, it'll still come by and you'll still keep thinking that thought.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean that it goes away. That's why you can have literally 2 people inventing the same thing across the world from each other, and they don't even know that, but they both got the idea to do it.
Mm-hmm. That's because we're all connected.
Exactly.
Yeah, I know. And I think it's more about what's the most important thing for me to do right now. And I'd really rather focus on my legacy work of things that I can make an impact for long after I'm gone versus, running a summit right now. People ask me all the time, I'm in a book. I was featured in a book, but I haven't written a book. And they're like, oh, you should write a book. Well, I don't feel like the universe is calling me to write a book. What I feel like the universe is calling me is to do these other things right now. Eventually, sure, there's a couple books I might write. There's a couple songs I want to write. There's a couple other things I want to do, but I need to focus on these other things right now.
So are you a musician yourself?
No, but I like one of the songs. I was literally in that state where I was dreaming the music. I was dreaming the song. And then a couple of them I've just been in meditation and the words, and I can hear the sounds. Matter of fact, I don't know how to write music, so I'll have to work with someone and tell them the melody and have them come up with the music part, because I know the words and how it should sound, but I don't know how to do that other part. So,
and that's really easy. I mean, easy meaning you write the words down and then you just put the melody in, even just in your phone, whatever it is. The producer is what then helps with that.
Yeah.
So you
That's
just need to
fine.
find a
Music producer.
producer,
Yeah.
and they can turn your ideas into a song.
Yeah, but then I want to know, how do you protect the song and get the song to a really good artist to sing it? Because I'm also not a singer. I sing in the shower and the car at the top of my lungs, but nobody's given me money for that. Maybe to stop, they might give me money, but not to keep going.
Yeah, there is some copyright stuff that you need to do as well. So
yeah, so I just haven't, it hasn't been time to take a pause and focus on that yet. And, I just kind of go with what I feel led to do. And that's what I focus on. So that's kind of how I've been running the show lately, is if I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be spending my energy, then that's what I do.
yes. Yep, energy is everything.
That's right. That's right. So
well, thank you so much. I know you need to have some me time.
I do.
Watching into your you time.
All right. Well,
thank you so much. I'd love to stay connected. And again, so much. Thank you for the opportunity today.
Absolutely. I think you have my cell phone number and everything. So I think
I got everything.
You got all the things.
We're connected now.
That's right.
All right. Be well, my friend.
You take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.